The Cartographer's discovery. The blue light from 17 different star charts painted Zex-Hi's silver skin in shifting patterns as he worked through his third consecutive sleep cycle without rest. His 4 arms moved with practiced precision across the holographic displays, each limb operating different mapping instruments, while his large, dark eyes tracked data streams that would overwhelm most beings. As the lead cartographer for the Galactic Navigation Guild, Zex-Hi had mapped more star systems than any Veltaran in recorded history. His work guided merchant fleets across the galaxy and helped explorers find new worlds to colonize. But today, something was terribly wrong with the maps. Zex-Hi paused in his work and rubbed his eyes with his smaller pair of arms, while the larger ones continued their tasks. He had been staring at the same data for hours, running scan after scan, checking calculations that should have been simple. According to every instrument in the facility, there was a perfect sphere of space near the galaxy's edge that simply did not exist on any map. Not missing data or unexplored regions, but a complete absence where something should be. Computer, display all historical maps of sector designation Omega 77, he commanded his workstation. The massive holographic display above his desk flickered and began showing maps dating back thousands of years. Every single chart showed the same thing, a perfectly round gap in the mapped galaxy, marked only with the notation, boundary, navigation prohibited. Zex-Hi's primary heart skipped a beat as he realized the implications. This region had been unmapped for over 50,000 years, not unexplored or dangerous, but actively excluded from every chart ever created. Someone had deliberately hidden an entire region of space from galactic civilization, and they had been doing it since before most current species had achieved spaceflight. The Veltaran stood up from his workstation and walked to the enormous observation window that dominated one wall of his laboratory. Outside, the lights of Nexus Prime Station twinkled against the cosmic dark. Thousands of beings from hundreds of different species lived and worked on the station, all dedicated to the advancement of galactic knowledge and cooperation. The Navigation Guild prided itself on mapping every grain of space dust and every wandering asteroid in the galaxy. They had never encountered a region they could not chart. Yet here was proof that such a region existed, and apparently always had. Zex-Hi returned to his desk and began pulling up the deepest archives the station possessed. Most of the oldest records were fragmented or corrupted, stored in data formats that modern systems could barely read. But as he dug deeper into the historical files, fragments of information began to emerge. References to something called the First War appeared in documents dating back 47,000 years. Military reports mentioned containment protocols and the necessity of forgetting. One partially corrupted file contained a single phrase that made Zex-Hi's blood run cold. The seedling species must never be allowed to spread. What was a seedling species? The term appeared nowhere in any xenobiology database. Zex-Hi searched through millions of files without finding any explanation. Whatever the seedling species had been, all record of them had been systematically erased from galactic history. The door to Zex-Hi's laboratory suddenly hissed open without any signal from the entry chime. Commander Thalek, a massive Chronari warrior who served as the station's security chief, filled the doorway with his armored bulk. His reptilian features showed no emotion as he stepped into the room, but Zex-Hi could see the tension in his stance. Cartographer Zex-Hi, Thalek's voice rumbled like distant thunder. You will cease your current research immediately and report to my office for debriefing. Zex-Hi's 4 arms went still above his workstation. In 20 years of working on Nexus Prime, the security chief had never once visited his laboratory, let alone ordered him to halt his research. Commander, I'm not sure I understand. I'm simply updating navigation charts for the Outer Rim territories. You are investigating the boundary, Thalek stated flatly. This investigation ends now. The Chronari warrior moved to Zex-Hi's main console and began entering commands with surprising speed for such large fingers. Within seconds, every file the cartographer had accessed was being deleted from the system. Months of research vanished as if it had never existed. "Sir, you're destroying valuable astronomical data," Zexhai protested, reaching toward his console with two arms while the others gestured in agitation. "If there's a region of space we haven't properly mapped, we need to understand why." Thalek's hand shot out faster than Zexhai's eyes could follow, grabbing the Velteran's wrist in a grip that could crush bone. "There are some things in this galaxy that must remain unmapped," the Chronari said quietly. "Some secrets that exist for the protection of every living being. You will forget what you have seen, and you will never speak of this again." The security chief released Zexhai's arm and continued deleting files. "Return to your quarters. Take 3 days of rest leave. When you return, you will find new assignments waiting that do not involve the Outer Rim territories." Zexhai watched helplessly as his research disappeared. Years of careful observation and analysis were being erased as if they meant nothing. But even as the files vanished from his workstation, his mind raced with questions. Why was the military involved in what should have been a simple mapping error? What was so dangerous about a region of empty space that it required this level of secrecy? As Commander Thalek finished destroying the data and left the laboratory, Zexhai made a decision that would change everything. He activated his personal recording device, a small instrument that he used to keep research notes, and began speaking quietly. Personal log, Zexhai of the Velteran Astronomy Corps. Date, 15.74589 Standard Galactic Calendar. I have discovered evidence of a systematic cover-up involving unmapped regions of space. Military authorities have just confiscated and destroyed my research, which suggests that whatever is being hidden in the boundary is considered extremely dangerous. He paused and looked around his laboratory to ensure he was alone. I believe the Navigation Guild, possibly in cooperation with the Galactic Council itself, has been deliberately hiding an entire region of space for thousands of years. References to something called the seedling species and a conflict known as the First War suggest that whatever is in the boundary was involved in a major galactic conflict that has been erased from history. Zexhai moved to his emergency backup systems, hoping that some of his data might still exist in secondary storage. To his surprise, one file remained, a long-range sensor reading he had taken of the boundary region just hours before. The scan showed what appeared to be a massive energy field surrounding the hidden area, technology far more advanced than anything currently known to galactic civilization. But there was something else in the scan that made his blood freeze. Deep within the energy field, his instruments had detected movement. Massive objects, possibly ships, were moving around inside the boundary. Whatever was hidden there was not empty space at all, but an active, populated region that had been cut off from the rest of the galaxy. As Zexhai studied the readings more closely, he noticed something that terrified him. The energy field showed signs of instability. Fluctuations in the containment system suggested that whatever technology was keeping the boundary isolated was beginning to fail. After 50,000 years of containment, something was trying to break free. The cartographer's hands shook as he realized the implications. If the beings inside the boundary had been imprisoned for millennia, and if they possessed technology advanced enough to threaten the entire galaxy, then their eventual escape would change everything. The careful balance of galactic civilization, the peaceful coexistence of hundreds of species, could all be shattered by whatever had been locked away in that hidden region of space. Zexhai looked once more at his sensor readings, watching the energy patterns fluctuate and shift. Somewhere beyond that barrier, in a place that did not exist on any map, something was stirring. Something that had been waiting for 50,000 years was finally beginning to wake up. He turned off his recording device and began planning. Commander Thalek had ordered him to forget what he had discovered, but Zexhai was a scientist first and foremost. The greatest mystery in galactic history was hidden just beyond the edge of known space, and no military order would stop him from uncovering the truth, even if that truth might destroy everything he knew about the universe. The truth about Earth. 3 days later, Zexhai was piloting his personal research vessel toward the coordinates he had memorized before his data was destroyed. The ship was small, but equipped with the best sensor equipment that civilian credits could buy. More importantly, it was registered as conducting routine asteroid surveys, the kind of boring research that attracted no attention from authorities. As he approached the edge of the boundary, his instruments began picking up the energy field he had detected earlier. It was even more massive than his long-range scans had indicated, stretching across several light-years and pulsing with power that defied easy explanation. But now that he was closer, Zexhai could see that the field was not a solid barrier. There were gaps, tiny fluctuations where the energy patterns grew weak enough for a small ship to slip through. Zexhai had spent years studying spacetime mechanics as part of his cartographic training. He understood that what he was seeing should not be possible with any known technology. The energy field was not just hiding the region inside, it was actually folding space around it, making the entire area exist in a separate pocket of reality. Ships approaching the boundary would find their navigation systems confused, their sensors showing only empty space, and their crews mysteriously deciding to change course and explore somewhere else. But Zexhai's determination overrode whatever psychological effects the barrier was designed to create. He carefully maneuvered his ship through one of the unstable gaps in the energy field, expecting to find empty space or perhaps a few hidden research stations. Instead, he found a solar system that took his breath away. The star at the center was a perfect yellow dwarf, neither too hot nor too cold, surrounded by 8 planets in nearly circular orbits. But it was the third planet from the star that captured Zexhai's attention. It was blue and white and green, with massive oceans and continents covered in vegetation. Even from a distance, his sensors could detect the signatures of a complex, thriving biosphere. But more importantly, the planet was covered in cities. Massive metropolitan areas stretched across every continent, connected by transportation networks that glowed softly in the planet's night regions. Orbital platforms surrounded the world, and ships moved between the planet and its single large moon in a steady stream of traffic. This was not an abandoned system or a hidden research facility. This was the home world of an advanced, spacefaring civilization. As Zexhai's ship moved deeper into the system, his communication array suddenly activated without any input from him. A voice spoke in perfect galactic standard, though the accent was unlike anything he had ever heard. "Unknown vessel, this is Earth Traffic Control. Please identify yourself and state your purpose in Sol System space." Earth, Sol System. These were names that appeared nowhere in any galactic database, yet somehow they felt familiar to Zexhai, as if he had heard them in half-remembered dreams. He activated his own communication system with trembling hands. "This is cartographer Zexhai of the Veltaran Astronomy Corps aboard the research vessel Deep Survey. I was conducting routine stellar cartography when I detected this system. According to all galactic maps, this region of space is empty." There was a long pause before the voice responded. "Stand by, Deep Survey. You are being directed to Landing Bay 7 on Luna Station. Please follow the guidance signals and do not deviate from the prescribed flight path." Zexhai found his ship being taken over by external guidance systems more sophisticated than anything in the galactic fleet. His vessel moved smoothly through the system toward the planet's moon, where he could see a massive space station built into the satellite's surface. The construction was elegant and functional, incorporating architectural principles that seemed to blend art with engineering in ways that current galactic civilization had never achieved. As his ship settled into the designated landing bay, Zexhai caught his first glimpse of the beings who lived in this hidden system. They walked on 2 legs like several galactic species, but there was something different about them. They moved with a confidence and purpose that seemed almost supernatural. Their technology appeared to respond to their presence, adjusting automatically to their needs without any visible controls or commands. A figure approached his ship as the landing bay pressurized. She was tall and lean with pale skin and dark hair, wearing simple clothing that somehow managed to look both practical and aesthetically pleasing. When she spoke, her voice was the same one that had guided him to the station. "Cartographer Zexhai," she said as he emerged from his ship. "Welcome to Luna Station." I'm Dr. Sarah Chen, Director of Xenoarchaeological Studies. I've been looking forward to meeting you. Zexhai stared at her in confusion. You've been expecting me, but I only discovered your system 3 days ago, and I told no one of my plans to come here. Dr. Chen smiled, and there was something in that expression that was both warm and terrifying. We've been monitoring your research for several months. When someone with your level of skill and determination begins investigating the boundary, we tend to take notice. The real question is whether you're ready to learn the truth about why we've been hidden from the galaxy. She gestured for him to follow her deeper into the station. As they walked through corridors filled with impossible technology and beings who seemed to bend reality around them simply by existing, Dr. Chen began to explain. 53,000 years ago, humanity achieved faster than light travel and began expanding into the galaxy. We were young, curious, and perhaps a bit too enthusiastic about sharing our discoveries with other species. Within a few centuries, we had made contact with most of the major galactic civilizations. They entered a vast observation chamber where one wall was entirely transparent, offering a stunning view of Earth hanging in space below them. The planet was even more beautiful up close, a perfect blue marble covered in swirling clouds and teeming with life. At first, the other species welcomed us, Dr. Chen continued. Humans were excellent problem solvers, and we had a talent for developing new technologies. We helped several civilizations overcome resource shortages, disease outbreaks, and environmental disasters. But as time went on, the galactic community began to realize that humans were different from other species in ways that frightened them. Zexhai found his voice. Different how? Dr. Chen touched the transparent wall, and the view changed, showing images of humans working alongside various galactic species. But as Zexhai watched, he began to notice the differences she mentioned. While other species use tools and technology to solve problems, humans seemed to reshape their environment through will and imagination alone. They didn't just adapt to new worlds, they transformed them completely. Humans learn faster than any other known species, Dr. Chen explained. We don't just use technology, we internalize it, become one with it. Within a few generations, we had developed abilities that other species considered impossible. We could manipulate matter at the molecular level, exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously, and process information at rates that seemed supernatural. The images changed to show what looked like a war, but unlike any conflict Zexhai had ever seen. Humans and various galactic species were fighting not with ships or weapons, but with reality itself. Space-time twisted and bent around the combatants as they reshaped the laws of physics to suit their needs. The other species called it the First War, Dr. Chen said quietly. But it wasn't really a war at all. It was an intervention. The galactic community had decided that humanity was too dangerous to be allowed to continue evolving unchecked. They feared that within a few more centuries, humans would become so advanced that the rest of the galaxy would be irrelevant. Zexhai felt a chill run through his body. So they imprisoned you here. Dr. Chen nodded. The containment field you pass through isn't just hiding us from the galaxy. It's actually separating our entire region of space-time from the rest of reality. For 50,000 years, we've existed in what you might call a pocket universe, cut off from the galactic community that decided we were too dangerous to exist alongside them. The implications hit Zexhai like a physical blow. But if your people have been isolated here for 50 millennia, and if humans continue to evolve and advance, he trailed off as he realized what that meant. Exactly, Dr. Chen said with that terrifying smile. We've had 50,000 years to develop our abilities without any external interference. The humans you're looking at now are as far beyond the humans who were imprisoned here as those humans were beyond their Stone Age ancestors. She gestured toward the earth below them, and Zexhai could see that what he had taken for cities were something far more complex. The entire planet seemed to be alive, its surface shifting and changing in response to the needs and desires of its inhabitants. The humans weren't just living on Earth, they had become part of it, integrated with their world in ways that transcended biology. The containment field is failing, Dr. Chen continued. The technology that built our prison was advanced, but it wasn't designed to hold beings who continue to evolve. We've been testing the barriers for centuries now, learning how they work, finding their weaknesses. His worst fears were being confirmed. You're going to break free. We already have, in small ways. Individual humans have been slipping through gaps in the containment for decades, exploring the current galaxy, learning about the civilizations that imprisoned us. Some of us have even been living among other species, studying their technology and culture. The Velteran thought about Commander Thalek's reaction to his research, the systematic deletion of any information about the boundary, the references to military protocols he had found in the archives. The Galactic government knows you're escaping. Dr. Chen's expression grew more serious. They suspect. There have been incidents, sightings, unexplained technological advances that various species have achieved with mysterious human assistance. The Galactic Council is terrified that their greatest mistake is about to come back to haunt them. She turned to face HFY directly, and he could see something in her eyes that was both ancient and terrifyingly intelligent. Which brings us to you, Cartographers. HFY. You've discovered the truth about humanity's imprisonment, and now you have a choice to make. You can return to your station, submit to memory modification, and spend the rest of your life mapping empty regions of space while pretending that this conversation never happened. Or, HFY asked, though he already suspected what the alternative might be. Or you can help us. The containment field will collapse completely within the next few years, whether we take action or not. But with your knowledge of galactic cartography and navigation networks, we could ensure that humanity's return to the galaxy happens in a way that benefits everyone, rather than the catastrophic reintegration that the Galactic Council is preparing for. HFY looked out at the Earth below, at the impossible civilization that had grown and evolved in isolation for 50,000 years. He thought about the fear in Commander Thalek's eyes, the systematic suppression of information about the boundary, and the terrible choice that the galactic community had made so long ago. "What do you want from me?" he asked finally. Dr. Chen smiled again, and this time HFY could see both infinite compassion and terrifying power in that expression. "We want you to help us come home, HFY. All we've ever wanted is to take our place in the galactic community, to share what we've learned and continue growing alongside our neighbors." She paused and looked out at the stars beyond Earth's atmosphere. "The question is whether the galaxy will welcome us back, or whether they'll try to build another prison. And that choice may determine whether the next chapter of galactic history is written in cooperation or conflict." As HFY stood in the observation chamber, watching human ships move between Earth and its moon with impossible grace, he realized that his simple mapping assignment had led him to the most important decision in galactic history. The humans were coming home whether anyone wanted them to or not. The only question now was whether their return would save the galaxy or transform it beyond recognition. Either way, the age of hiding was about to end.